What if you cannot see the plan, yet it exists? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. This verse is often quoted like a promise spoken in comfort, but Jeremiah did not write it in comfort. He wrote it to people in exile, people who had lost land, lost stability, lost certainty about where their lives were going. The promise did not remove the exile. It arrived inside it. That changes everything. For I know God begins not with explanation, but with awareness. He does not say, you know. He does not say, you will understand soon. He says, I know. This is difficult for people who want clarity, because clarity feels like control. If you know the plan, you can prepare. If you understand the future, you can steady your breathing. If you see where this ends, you can endure more confidently. But Jeremiah removes that access. God knows, you do not. This is not dismissal. It is hierarchy. Plans are not hidden because you failed. They are hidden because they are not yours to manage. This is hard for people who survive by planning, people who build stability through foresight, people who reduce anxiety through anticipation. Jeremiah speaks directly into that habit. There is a future, there is a direction, there is an intention, but it is not required to be visible to you right now. I know the plans I have for you. Plans imply movement, but exile implies stagnation. That tension is the heart of this promise. Externally, nothing is improving. Internally, God says something is unfolding. Not visible yet, not measurable yet, but active. This is not motivational language, it is stabilizing language. The people hearing this were not celebrating. They were displaced. They were not confused about God's existence. They were confused about his timing. Plans for welfare and not for evil. Welfare here does not mean ease. It means intention that does not destroy you. Exile felt destructive. It felt like loss without explanation. God does not deny the loss. He reframes its ultimate direction. The future is not built from harm. This does not mean harm does not happen. It means harm does not own the ending. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Future and hope are paired deliberately. Future without hope is dread. Hope without future is fantasy. God promises both, but not immediately. The promise is not about speed. It is about trajectory. If you are listening and feel suspended between chapters, not where you were, not where you thought you would be, Jeremiah understands that location. The middle feels like delay, but delay is not directionlessness. God does not promise you visibility. He promises you orientation. The future exists even when you cannot outline it. Hope exists even when you cannot feel it. This is not optimism. It is trust in authorship. You are not writing the entire script. You are walking inside one. And walking without full script access requires a different kind of faith. Not confident faith, anchored faith. Anchored not in understanding, but in character. If God knows the plans, then the burden of knowing does not rest on you. That realization can feel relieving or unsettling. Relieving because you are not responsible for mapping everything. Unsettling because you cannot control where it leads. Jeremiah does not attempt to remove that tension. He allows both relief and discomfort to exist. This is what mature faith looks like. It does not demand that promises feel comfortable. It allows them to steady you without fully explaining you. If your life right now feels unfinished, if the future looks foggy, if your best planning has not clarified anything, you are not off course. You are inside a chapter that is not fully revealed. And that is not punishment. It is pacing. God does not rush revelation. He releases it in portions. Not because he enjoys suspense, but because full visibility would overwhelm you. Some futures must unfold gradually so that you can inhabit them without collapsing. Jeremiah's promise is not about instant understanding. It is about trust that something intentional is forming, even when you cannot see it forming. This is where many people struggle, because they measure growth by visible change. When visible change pauses, they assume growth has stopped. Jeremiah contradicts that assumption. Plans can be active while you feel stationary. Hope can exist while your emotions feel muted. Future can be forming while you feel uncertain. If tonight you are tired of not knowing, tired of hearing promises that feel abstract, tired of waiting for clarity, Jeremiah does not rush you forward. He does not say, soon. He says, there is a plan. And sometimes knowing there is a plan is enough to keep you from collapsing under uncertainty, not because you understand it, but because you are not alone in it. Knowing there is a plan does not remove the discomfort of not seeing it. Jeremiah does not pretend that exile felt hopeful the day the promise was spoken. The people were still displaced. The land was still distant. The future was still uncertain. Nothing changed immediately. And that is precisely why this promise matters. Because it does not attach hope to visible improvement. It attaches hope to God's intention. For I know God's knowing does not depend on your awareness. He does not require your clarity to remain intentional. He does not pause his purposes because you cannot perceive them. This is difficult for people who rely on understanding to feel stable. You may think, if I could just see what this leads to, I could endure better. Jeremiah gently removes that condition. Endurance does not require visibility. It requires trust in authorship. If God knows the plan, then uncertainty does not equal chaos. It equals partial information. Partial information feels threatening because it exposes limits. You cannot calculate outcomes. You cannot forecast resolution. You cannot guarantee timelines. But you are not asked to. That burden does not belong to you. The promise is not that you will know soon. The promise is that God already knows now. And that distinction steadies the ground beneath your questions. Plans for welfare. Welfare here is not comfort. It is wholeness. God's intention is not to shrink you through this season. It is not to erase you. It is not to waste you. Even if the present feels stalled, the trajectory is not harm. This does not deny pain. It denies final destruction. Not for evil. This is not naive language. The people Jeremiah addressed had experienced devastation. They had reason to suspect abandonment. Yet God speaks into that suspicion and says, this is not the end of you. Hope does not erase difficulty. It redefines its horizon to give you a future and a hope. Future means there is more than this moment. Hope means this moment does not define the story. If you are living inside an unfinished chapter, this promise does not rush you to the last page. It assures you that a last page exists, and that matters. Because uncertainty becomes unbearable when you believe it has no direction. Jeremiah restores direction without restoring clarity. You may not know the details. You may not see the turns ahead, but the story is not drifting. It is authored. That realization shifts how you carry today. You stop demanding answers that are not ready. You stop forcing decisions that require more light. You allow time to move without accusing it of failure. This is not passivity. It is restraint grounded in trust. Restraint says, I will not collapse just because I cannot see. Trust says, I do not need to see everything to remain. Jeremiah's promise does not energize immediately. It steadies gradually. You wake up still unsure, but not untethered. You move through the day still questioning, but not directionless. You carry uncertainty, but it does not carry you, because somewhere beneath the noise of not knowing, you remember, God knows. That is not a slogan. It is an anchor. He knows what this season is forming. He knows what this delay is protecting you from. He knows what you are not yet ready to hold. And his knowing does not depend on your confidence. If tonight you are tired of uncertainty, tired of hearing promises that feel distant, tired of walking forward without map, Jeremiah does not rush you. He reminds you that you are not self-directed. The burden of authorship is not on your shoulders. There is a plan. You may not see it. You may not understand it. You may not feel hopeful, but the future is not erased. It is unfolding. And that unfolding does not require your visibility to continue. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering outside intention. You are inside a chapter that has not yet revealed its direction. And God is not confused about where it leads. That is enough for today. Not enough to answer everything. Not enough to remove every doubt. But enough to keep you standing without collapsing into fear. Enough to breathe without needing full clarity. Enough to stay. Amen.